And welcome to Paper Crafting with Tammi. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. It is awesome to see you here. I have a great project for us today that we're going to start on in just a minute. If you haven't done it yet, take a minute and hit that big red subscribe button so you see what else I've got for you next time. And let's get started. Hey paper crafting friends, thanks for joining me today. I am down to the very last set of papers that I have from this Peri and Peach stack. So let me show you what I've got to work with, and then we'll get busy laying out a design for today. So what I have left are these double-sided papers, and I've already kind of thought through which sides of them I want to use. Like, while this is really beautiful, I don't know that I need the months and days of the week for my layout. We'll see though. Got this pretty floral. And then the back side, and then this black and white, or kind of navy and white. And then I think what I'm going to use for my background paper is this pretty sapphire. So we'll see how that all kind of comes together and if that palette works the way I'm imagining. And then I had several sentiment cards left from that set. So I actually may have enough here for a couple of layouts, but at this point I'm going to go ahead and figure out one for today, and then often I just use my scraps up for something else. So lots of fun things to play with. I'm going to pull out some borders to get started. I think I'm going to play with Sunnybrook Lane today. That's one that I haven't used in a while, and I think that's going to be my focus today. So I'll see you in just a moment and we'll get busy. All right, I am not sure how this came about exactly, but I pulled out that Sunnybrook Lane and I decided I wanted to use all three of the borders. And so this thicker border, which is Sunnybrook Lane 3A and 3B, worked really well on the bottom, and it ended up looking a little bit wavy. Then I layered 1A and 1B on top of it, and it really looked wavy. Like just a great beginning for a water layout. I put 2A and 2B up here at the top, and as happens sometimes when I'm playing with templates, the layout kind of created itself. So I ended up pulling out my Paradise accessory set and also tiny Seaside, and I got a couple things out of there. I layered a 1/2-inch strip just up here at the top, and then I started pulling out some photo mats to kind of see how this would all come together. So this particular photo mat is a 3.5 by 4.5. I might make this a little bit longer, maybe like 3.5 by 5 or by 5.5. I definitely have a little bit more space here, but I thought this little fish layered on here was adorable. And I really think that with the papers that I've got, even though there's a floral theme to them, I actually think that they're going to work really well and create a really beautiful layout that would be perfect for any kind of beach or ocean pictures, or even just really anything outdoors. If you are not somebody who gets to the coast, then you may want to pull out the kind of beach specific photos. I always have a few trips a year to the beach, so that's going to be perfect that it turns out kind of feeling a little bit beachy. So let me tell you the rest of the template. Sorry. So this is a 4x5 and this is a 4x5. These are both 3x4s, and I'm just going to tuck them in between the two layers of border. So they're going to cover up that back border most of the way, and just kind of nest here on this page. This one I already talked about, and then these are both 4x4. Okay. From the Paradise template set, this is from the accessory set. I have Paradise 1, Paradise 3, and Paradise 6. And then out of the tiny Seaside, this is tiny Seaside 3T. This one is 1T, I believe, and this one is 7T. Let me double check this number real quick. Yep, that one is 1T. And I just thought kind of wrapped around the corner of that photo would be neat. So I'm going to start making some paper choices and we'll see how this all comes together. As I went to trace this set of templates, I made an important observation. This paper definitely has some directionality to it. Kind of looks like waves with the way that it's curving up. And if I were to cut this border the way that I would traditionally cut it, so that it can go side by side like this, right? Normally I would just cut the two pieces connected this way. Well, when I went to move this piece, it would end up with the waves upside down, which would look really weird when it's right next to the other one. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and trace my first side. Okay, and then rather than do it in the traditional way, I need to make sure that I also trace this template straight up and down. So for this one, I'm going to move it up enough that I could use this piece for something else in a future project. So I'm just going to mark where I want to do my straight cut there. And then go ahead and trace the top side of this. And then I'll do the same thing. I'll make another, straight cut here so that I've got two border pieces for a future project and then two for this project that are both facing the right direction. So just something to think about when you're working with a paper that has some real obvious directionality. If you're going to be flipping the border piece over, you're going to want to watch that. Alrighty, I am excited to show you how this all came together. I'm telling you, this layout had a little bit of a mind of its own. It seemed like it just kept taking turns as I went. So let's see. So I showed you how I was cutting that lower border for starters. And I got those two pieces cut. And remember, I had to do them kind of on top of each other, which is different than normal, so that I could have all of the waves going the right direction. Then I did this little floral piece down here. And then when I got looking at the scraps that I had left and the two extra pieces that I had created while doing this, I thought, why in the world would I cut something different for the top? I already have those. So I went ahead and used the pieces that were created from doing that bottom border up here at the top. So I'm going to pull that off because that's not what I ended up doing. I ended up using those instead. And I think that worked out just as well. Okay, so let's get those out of there. And this probably happens with you when you're creating as well. It's like sometimes you think you've made a choice about something and then another opportunity kind of presents itself. And that just really made sense to go ahead and do that. And I like how it carries that white across the page. It's just a really sharp contrast against that deep sapphire. So I love the way that that actually turned out. And then to pull it together just a little bit more, the 1/2-inch strip for the top, I ended up doing that floral pattern that I used on the bottom. Okay. The photo mats, I picked the subtlest of the prints that I had available. So it was just this kind of a white background with a little bit of a periwinkle spot. So the first one is that piece here that was a 3.5 by 4.5 mat. And I said I thought I would probably go a little bigger. So I ended up choosing 3.5 by 5.5 for that space. These are both 4 by 4. I'll have to decide, where I'm going to tuck and where I'm going to layer on top. This one's a 4 by 5. And this one's a 4 by 5. And then these are both 3 by 4. And these I just wanted to kind of layer and sandwich in between the two borders. So I'll bring those up as much as I can, but I want them to have those lower corners hidden kind of in that sandwich between the borders. Okay, so that's the basic layout. And then I had some embellishment pieces to add. So I really liked this card that says "Love This." Goes perfectly with this border piece that I pulled in. I'm actually going to layer this on this photo mat and have it right here. So that brought in a little bit of that copper, which then started informing some other decisions. So remember I said I wasn't going to use any of this paper that had the months and days. The other side of it is what I ended up using for the photo mats, but I still had a little bit of this left. And I thought, well, if I do it at an angle, you're not even going to really be able to tell that it's months and days, but I'll get a little bit of that copper accent. So that's what I used to cut this little swirl up here up for the tiny Seaside. So what I want to do with this is just kind of have it wrapping around and just showing up a little bit with one of these really fun flowers. So we'll just do something like that. And then I had that little fishy that I had planned for over here. So I had just a dotted paper that was one of the ones that was still available from this stack. I had a big shell here, and originally how I had this laid out, I had a larger fish here, and I didn't end up liking how that looked. It was just a little too big, but I did want to layer something, so I went ahead and pulled in another shell, just a little different size. And then I had a really large flower here from the Paradise accessory set. I'm going to go ahead and keep that. Love kind of carrying that dot pattern across. And then I made a small flower out of, it was actually the waves on the back side. And I want to layer that there. And then one of the tags was a 3x4 tag, but the very center of it said "Love You." So I went ahead and just cut that out with a punch to go ahead and be the center of that flower. And now I've got that copper kind of carrying across the layout in a few different spots, and then the dots carrying across, and then this really beautiful damask print in a couple of places. So I'm happy with how that kind of is keeping your eye moving. The only thing I decided to add was a little tiny strip of copper, and this is just some copper cardstock that I've got, and I just wanted a little teeny bit up here at the top. So obviously this is going to go better when it gets attached. But we've got that piece there, and then another piece here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do off camera, I'll get all of this attached down, decide what I'm going to pop up. I would imagine things that will get foam tape will be things like this flower. We'll end up with some foam tape behind it, so it's got a little bit of dimension. This fish, probably the smaller shell, will get a little bit of dimension. And then probably this little flower with the "Love You" center. Probably keep the bigger flower adhered pretty well to the background, and then just pop this and elevate it a bit. If you are curious, for this particular layout, I did distress everything in black soot. So this is just one of the Holtz distress inks. And sometimes when I'm using like white and black and just deep blues, I do like the black soot better than the vintage photo. So this is done. It actually came together really fast. I had a lot of fun doing this with you today, and I hope it gives you some ideas and gets you inspired to get out some of your own paper stacks and get busy creating. So I hope you enjoyed your time with me today, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.